She sold her wrapper, her earrings, even the small fridge she used to sell cold drinks just to save her husband's life. And what he did afterward left her speechless. Stay with me till the end because this one will teach you something about people you thought you knew. And if stories like this move you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Ngozi was the kind of woman people in Umuahia called the strong one. She sold kepe and tomatoes at the Ndoro market, wobbling home every evening with a tray on her head and a smile that never seemed to tire. Her husband, Emeka, worked as a bricklayer, and though they didn't have much, they had peace. Until the day Emeka collapsed at a construction site. The doctors at the general hospital said his kidney was failing. They needed money fast for tests, for drugs, for a possible transfer to a bigger hospital in Enugu. Ngozi's hands shook as she listened. She had exactly 4,000 naira saved in an old Bonvita tin under her bed. It wasn't enough. It wasn't even close. But Ngozi didn't fold her arms and cry. She went to work. She sold her wrapper collection, the one she'd been buying piece by piece for 5 years. She sold her gold earrings, gifts from her wedding, even the small fridge she used for her cold drink side business, the one that brought in extra money for their 2 children's school fees. Neighbors watched her move around the compound with a quiet determination, carrying bags and asking around for buyers, never once complaining. By the time she raised the money, she had exactly 100 naira left in her purse. Not 4,000, 100 naira. She used even that last kobo buying recharge card units to call her sister in Lagos for prayers. Because in that moment, prayer felt like the only thing left she could still afford. Emeka survived. After 2 weeks in the hospital, he came home walking on his own legs, thinner but alive. Ngozi cried tears of joy at the hospital gate, hugging him so tight her body shook. The neighbors gathered, clapping, some even weeping with her, because everyone in that compound had watched what she sacrificed. But something changed in Emeka after that hospital stay. He grew quiet, distant. Ngozi noticed he started coming home late, sometimes not explaining where he'd been. Then, one evening, 3 months later, she found out why. Emeka had used his recovery, his second chance at life, to reconnect with an old girlfriend from his university days, a woman now living comfortably in Port Harcourt. He told Ngozi, without much shame, that he wanted space to think about his life. Ngozi sat on the floor of their small room that night, surrounded by the empty spaces where her wrapper used to hang, where her earrings used to sit in their little box. She thought about the fridge she no longer had, the business she sacrificed, and she cried, not loudly, but the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and quiet. But here's the thing about Ngozi. After 3 days of grieving, she stood up. She borrowed a small capital from her sister, restarted her tomato stall, and slowly, painfully rebuilt her life. Emeka eventually left the marriage for good, and though the community expected Ngozi to be bitter, she wasn't. She simply said, "I didn't sacrifice everything for him to stay. I sacrificed everything because that's what love does in that moment. Whether he stayed or left was never something I could control." 2 years later, her tomato stall grew into a small shop. She smiled more now, a different kind of smile, one that didn't need anyone's permission to exist. If this story touched you, tell me in the comments. Have you ever given everything for someone only to watch them walk away? Let's talk about it below. And don't forget to subscribe because more stories like Ngozi's are coming.